This is Michael Popok. Don't look at your watch. It's time for Legal AF After Dark. The New York, almost $500 million civil fraud case against Donald Trump. Remember that one? Well, Donald Trump, in the midst of an appeal, has decided he's going to try to get rid of the judge that presided over the case, Judge Engoron, and Judge Engoron was having none of it. In fact, he turned the tables on one of the purported witnesses for Donald Trump and suggested that maybe he has committed some ethical violations that need to be investigated. We break it all down, this kind of boomerang backfire by Donald Trump, the only way we know how and the only place we know where to do it. Legal AF on the MeidasTouch Network. Take a listen.
All right, Popok, let's get into more bad legal news for Donald Trump. Let's take a look at Justice Engoron's order denying Donald Trump's demand that Engoron recuse himself. There's the order right there. And in the order, Engoron recounts this interaction with this guy, this lawyer, this landlord tenant lawyer who he somewhat knew, but this guy shows up. With the last name Bailey, he accosts Justice Engoron as he's leaving, and then he just starts shouting at Justice Engoron, "You don't know anything about New York executive law, section 6312. You've got it wrong." Justice Engoron says this interaction lasts maybe 90 seconds, and Engoron's like, "I get accosted all the time. Some people like me. Some people don't like me. They shout things at me. They yell at me. I don't think I need to report anytime somebody does it because it happens with a great deal of frequency. And none of that ever influences anything for me. I've researched the law. I exercise independent judgment." So Donald Trump, you're trying to claim that this guy shouting stuff at me is somehow grounds for recusal because this guy who wants his 5 minutes of fame, and I like what Justice Engoron says, and is apparently willing to tarnish his professional reputation to get on some cable news networks and talk about me. I don't know. I don't have a relationship with this guy. I know of him. He's a distant acquaintance, I guess. And I wouldn't even have remembered this event except that this guy is giving a media tour and telling people that he thinks that he had some impact on me. He didn't have an impact on me at all. And this is the furthest thing from any grounds to recuse myself. Justice Engoron also drops some other messages where he doesn't say it directly, but he basically also accuses that lawyer of engaging in crimes and saying he's unethical, what he did was unlawful, essentially hinting out that someone should take action against, that lawyer. And what I also like that Justice Engoron did is, and you called this out, Michael Popok, where Donald Trump demanded a subpoena of that lawyer. "We want you to issue a subpoena, Justice Engoron, so we can get his documents and text messages and all of his communications." What did Engoron do? "Okay, yeah, sure. Issue the subpoena. I'll sign it right now. Go to this weirdo guy. Go and get his notes. I don't talk to this guy." So Engoron signed it. Engoron uses the word here. He goes, "If I may use some basic parlance, it was a nothing burger that you're trying to turn into something. I'm not recusing myself. The $500 million verdict or fine stands." Donald Trump now has to continue that appeal. And I think he's going to lose that appeal. It's just a matter of when the appellate division rules. But the headline, Donald Trump's attempt to recuse Engoron in the civil fraud case denied, Michael Popok.
Yeah. I'll just put a little color around that. Engoron, any judge that's hit with a motion to disqualify or recuse themselves has to handle it in the first instance. That's just the way it happens in the United States. Some people might think it sounds counterintuitive. You mean the person you're trying to get rid of is the person that rules on the motion? And the answer to that is yes, everywhere, state and federal, including the United States Supreme Court. Having said that, Bailey, you a couple of things that you went over that I want to drill down on. First of all, I don't think it was a vague reference to possible misconduct. I think this judge is actually going to make a referral of Mr. Bailey to the grievance committee for the First Department. I've never seen a recusal order in which the judge said, "You've defamed me." That's defamation. You've committed professional misconduct. You've been unethical, and not have the judge, rather than wait around for some other bar member to drop a dime, not make the referral himself. In fact, the secondary remedy that Trump was looking for was, if you're not going to grant it, give us a full-blown evidentiary hearing where we can take witnesses and prosecute them. And the judge reminded them, the only case you cite is a case where if a lawyer is accused of professional misconduct, which I've accused Mr. Bailey of professional misconduct, he would have the right to cross-examine witnesses, not you, not Trump. This has nothing to. This whole order was about Mr. Bailey, somebody that you and I never heard of, and we will never hear of again. And that's the problem. And I told people in a hot take that I did about this issue, this is a teachable moment for people that are in law school or have graduated. Here's what you don't do. If there's a very high profile case and you know a judge has not yet rendered his order or his decision, or the appeal is not over, don't go over and start kibitzing with them and giving him your 2 cents about how you think he should rule. Don't chase him down the judge's staircase in a courthouse and stalk the judge while he's. Don't try to abuse what little interaction you've had with him in the past. Quote unquote distant friend. Don't try to abuse that to try to get to bend the ear of the judge about a case that's before him, and then go to the media and act like you're some sort of Engoron whisperer, some sort of person who has influence. You're trying to puff yourself up like you have influence over judges. They listen to you. And the judge even said in his footnote, you know how I know this has nothing to do with a true ethical violation that Trump believes happened? And why it's only about trying to change the outcome and the contours of the outcome? It's because Mr. Bailey, as he told the press, and I'm telling you here, he was advocating for Mr. Trump. He was advocating for a misbegotten, woeful interpretation of that executive law about persistent fraud, which is the Trump argument. And it's Trump that's trying to get rid of me for having an interaction with him. So if anybody was lobbying anybody, it was Mr. Bailey lobbying me about Mr. Trump. And you don't hear the New York Attorney General trying to get rid of me. And he, of course, he made it clear that nothing about what Bailey said in 90 seconds about a body of law that the judge says I've been studying in this case for almost 3 years, and I've made dozens and dozens of rulings about. None of that impacted my decision in order, and I didn't have to even tell you about it because he's not involved with the case. He's not a lawyer for the case, and nothing that he told me ended up in the actual order itself. It's just about the professional misconduct of Mr. Bailey. Now, here's what's going to happen. They're now going to wrap that issue into either the current appeal that's going to be heard in September in front of the First Department in Manhattan, which is the First Appellate Division, or they're going to try a separate appeal, which they're going to get denied. It's going to get denied at the First Department. No way are they going to find. I mean, there's exactly the same percentage chance of Donald Trump prevailing on this as him getting a black vote in the Midwest. 0% chance. And then he'll take another appeal to the Court of Appeals sometime in 2025. And that judgment, which has only been stayed, because people are like, whatever happened to that judgment? It's still running with interest. It's up to over $500 million with interest in New York. There's a $175 million bond that Donald Trump had to post through one of his fanboy friends who happened to have a bonding company, and who they posted the bond. So there's at least 175 that's been secured until this. We get over the summer. We get into the appellate briefing and the oral argument in the first part of the fall in New York. And then that'll be affirmed. I don't know if the whole 465 will be affirmed. They might take a little bit, the appellate court, a little bit of a surgeon's knife and whack off, a couple of million here and a couple of million there. But the majority of what Engoron did, I believe, is going to be preserved on this appeal. And then that's it. And that judgment, he can try one more appeal to the Court of Appeals. So maybe later in 2025, all the dust will settle. But he will eventually be paying several hundreds of millions of dollars running with interest to the people of the state of New York, because, as you started this podcast with, he is a persistent fraudster. Every company it's the opposite of MeidasTouch. Every company he's ever touched has turned to bankruptcy and shit. pardon my French. And that is who Donald Trump is. He's just been, a modern day incarnation of P.T. Barnum. And a sucker has been born every minute in the form of some voters for him. And now it's all becoming revealed through the legal process. Welcome back. That was Ben Meiselas, and that was me. We do that show twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On Wednesday, I do it with Karen Freeman Agnifilo. On Saturdays, I do it with my co-founder, Ben Meiselas. And then we do hot takes like this one, I don't know, about every hour at that same intersection of law and politics. If you like that kind of stuff, but you didn't know about our show, we invite you to join us. Free subscribe to the MeidasTouch network. Help them get to 3 million. They're oh so close. We should get there before the summer is over. And then you can pick us up on all audio podcast platforms of your choice. If you don't know anything about the show, we invite you to join. If you know everything you need to know about the show, you're already here with us. Take that clip. You can help us grow the audience organically. Send it off by word of mouth to friends and family, people in your life, and ask them to join the show. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.